Happy October. My name is Angelica Yingst, or Angie Yingst, you can call me, from the Moon and Stone Healing, and I'm here for your Earth Medicine reading for the month. So I'm an Earth Medicine practitioner, which means I use crystals, stone, shamanic healing, animals, plant medicine to help heal the body and heal my clients. I use it in my daily life, and so that's part of why I started doing this, was just coming in and helping. Like, I pull a card for the month, a tarot card, talk about it, talk about some of the energy to watch out for, to embrace, to kind of move into, and then we'd talk about the other allies that we can work with to help temper that energy. I'm not an astrologer, but I do follow astrology, and I do follow what's going on energetically, so I'll talk about that too. So it's going to be a wild ride this month. I have no idea what to expect. If you watched the debates last night, I feel like that is pretty indicative of the energy that I'm feeling for the month of October. We're kicking it off with a full moon in Aries. So, oh gosh, also Mars is in retrograde, like I said, and it went conjunct, or square to Saturn. I'm going to pull this out. So that happened yesterday. So it is September 30th, and I'm doing this reading now, but yesterday Mars went square with Saturn. It's retrograding through Aries. And so squares cause friction. Mars kind of makes strife. So you have this friction and strife energy coming together, and it's just a little wild, as Chani Nicholas says. Like, this is Mars' signature move, to make some conflict out of nothing and cause discomfort, which spurs us into action. I love that idea, because we often don't know what to do with that kind of discomfort and anger and frustration. And like I said, when I was watching the debates last night, I was thinking about this energy, because that chaos, that sort of like everybody's angry and we can't even hear each other energy, is so part of this Mars retrograde square Saturn energy. So there's a lot of warning here to not be reactive, to not like move fast. And we tend to want to do that when someone's upset us. It's just like react and say the first thing on our mind. I've had some of that too. But it's asking you to like not be so edgy and just kind of take a breath and not be so impulsive or pushy. And I think that sometimes we think about Mars retrograde and think like, oh, other people are angry about me, I'm going to be fine, or I'm going to be annoyed by other people. But it really sometimes is about thinking that you're the one that is fine and everybody else is the idiot. And it seems mild, because many of us have those thoughts that we don't express. But I think like being pushy and impulsive and difficult, you also have this kind of Saturn in Capricorn thing. So that's like serious and reserved and ambitious and driven. So it's like when you're going for it, right? Like you are really driven for something, that's when that Mars energy can flare up. So we kind of want to just be mindful of this, mindful of the fact that we could easily offend somebody, we could easily cut people out, because you're not the only one dealing with it. So remembering that when we're inflamed, other people are inflamed, and it just causes this head-butting energy that can be really difficult. So so that's here. Mercury goes into retrograde on the 13th. Oh boy. And that's, Libras are already an indecisive kind of sign. We already have some airiness when we're in it. It's fun and it's light, and most people have a great time in this time of year. But when Mercury goes into retrograde, it goes in Scorpio, and dude, that's intense. That's like late night booty calls. That's like hearing from exes. That's crazy obsessive thinking about other people and other things, and kind of playing out intense resentments, all of those kind of things. So just just don't send the email. Okay. Just wait until Mercury's out of retrograde. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So then the new moon is on the 16th. That's going to be in Libra. So as you know, new moons are always in the sign, the sun sign, and full moons are in the opposite sign. So we're going to have another full moon in October on the 31st, which is going to be exciting to have one on Samhain, Samhain time, Halloween. And so that's called a blue moon. And if you want to be working with this energy, I have a wonderful tarot layout for blue moons, and I made this, I think it was 2012. I was trying to remember. The blue moon tarot layout is for focusing on the specialness, the auspiciousness of that time frame, the second full moon. So that'll be really fun and interesting. It's going to be, again, I think it's a full moon in Taurus, which is earthy, a little less intense than this full moon in Aries, which will be fun, exciting, whatever, you know. What can I say about this time that I haven't already said? It's going to be intense. And so just buckle up, because I also pulled some really intense cards, and I don't know, I don't want to like frighten anybody or do anything like that, because the Tower tends to frighten people. And that's our card of the month, the Tower. It was kind of funny because I bought this cute candle at like a Halloween store, and it's Kali. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to light this Kali candle because I like to work with Kali. And then the Tower was the card. So I'm feeling like, you know, things are going to come down, like towers are going to be raised, and institutions are getting really shook up right now. And so we have a lot to work with when we work with the Tower. This can be a really conscious pulling down of the bricks of the prison. So when I explain the Tower to my tarot students, I always use this like myth of the princess in the high tower, and how, you know, there's some kind of prophecy that something's going to happen to the princess. So the king locks her away in a tower, and, you know, a decade later, it's become a prison for her. And so the Tower is something that we construct out of safety. Often it's the thing that we put around us for protection and safety, and to keep us away from either emotions. So we're in the West right now. We just moved into autumn after autumn equinox, September 22nd. So, you know, we are squarely in the West. And when I talk about the West, I'm talking about the medicine wheel. So we start in the spring with working with air. And so we're calling in energy. We're working with that beautiful like movement energy, and has new beginnings. We're kind of in that process of thinking things out. Then we move in the summer into the south, which is the area of fire. This is where things get done. Fires are productive, they're active. Obviously, they can be really destructive, but if you can harness your fire in the right direction, it is a really useful tool to work with, a really useful element. And then we move west in the autumn with water, and we work with water in the West. That's the tradition I was taught in by my teacher. And so when we're in the West, we're working with that really deep emotional energy. So we're working with releasing, we're working with our own mortality and death, and letting things go. We're dealing with like childhood issues and traumas and emotions. So when I'm talking about taking down walls, I'm talking about that, emotional issues. Okay, so generally we're not taking down a house, though it can be literal, of course, but we don't think of it that way. The Tower in, you know, tarot circles, people always allude to it looking like 9/11, and certainly a lot of people were pulling the Tower before the Twin Towers came down. So it does have a dark connotation with that, because it had that strong connection. So if you think about that kind of energy where it's just something coming out of the sky, unexpected, that brings everything down and forces us to look at who we are as a people. and what we're about, and our moxie and all of that stuff. So the tower asks us to kind of dig deep. And so a lot of times this tower, it comes in times and in moments like Mars retrograde, where our anger becomes the first thing that we react to. We're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. And so we tend to be like in a fighter mode instead. But the tower is asking us to kind of like bring those bricks down before we, blow someone else's tower up. And really think about how we want to consciously deconstruct the walls that we've built around our emotional well-being and our self-care. So it's interesting because I pulled a mystical shaman card and I got the child. So I feel like this is really us healing and working with our inner child and working with that energy too, because it's incredibly hard to look at the tower as the walls we've constructed as adults. They tend to have been there for a long time. So most of us don't even realize we have walls around us, to intimacy, to connection, to, doing a lot of spiritual bypassing, for example. In our spiritual community, we do that. That's a real pet peeve of mine, and I talk about it a lot. But the tower asks you not to bypass your emotions, and to really look at, like, what are the roots of it? What are the roots of this tower? Like, what was the original thing that happened? What was the prophecy that said, I must protect this part of myself? Because the tower is asking you, hey, you're going to bring this down, or I'm going to create something that's going to force you out, right? So, like, how many times have you heard friends being like complaining about their jobs every day and bitching about it, but not making any other move? And then one day they just lose their job and they're like, oh no, I lost my job. That's the tower. Okay. The tower is like, I gave you a lot of opportunities to take this down yourself, to quit the job, to move somewhere else, to do something else, and you decided to stay in. So I am going to take this tower down for you. So, and Kali does the same thing. If you want to call in new energy, you want to have a new way of being, you got to bring the crap down. You got to bring the shit down now. So we see this, we're seeing this in our cities when we have like 100 days straight of protests, which is amazing. Because what they're saying is, this institution, this tower that you've built around yourself that protects white supremacy, we're taking that down. We don't want that anymore. We need equality. And if this is what you pretend to be here, United States, then we're going to hold you to it. Okay. We're going to ask you to do it. And if we have to do it by rioting, if we have to do it by protesting, that's what we're going to do. And so this is like our tower moment, people, in this country. So, it was kind of interesting to see which cards came up this month, because they were coming up like right on the heels of watching that debate last night, which was crazy. So one of the things that also we're working with, and I pulled one of my Rebel deck cards. I love the Rebel deck. It tells it like it is. Mines are all taped up because I use it so much. But the Rebel deck isn't really a tarot deck. It's just it's an oracle deck. But this one that I got this month said, shame, regret, and guilt, those are just bullshit. Forgive and let that shit go. So even though we're taking stuff down and we're blowing stuff up, not literally, please do not think I'm meaning it literally. I mean, we're, emotionally getting to the heart of things and blowing off that old energy. So, in shamanic work, we do that. We do talk about blowing off energy, of, releasing it, of pulling it out, of, bone picking. And we're going to be doing that because our ally this month is pretty much the queen of all bone picking, the vulture. I was so excited to get vulture. This is one of my guides and one of the animals I work with. Vulture's an amazing ally. It's nature's wonderful recycler of energy. So it takes everything and uses it. And so that's something I probably repeated many times in these videos, which is nothing is wasted in spirit world. Every loss, every disappointment, every bad emotion, don't even want to say bad emotion, every emotion, whether it's feels comfortable or uncomfortable will be used for you to help another if you allow it to, if you make meaning that way. Vulture is a wonderful ally for pulling off all the dead things, all those things that no longer serve you. It comes in and picks out and picks the bones. So our journey this month is going to be with Vulture. I brought a vulture feather. So in shamanic work, we do feather doctoring. So we use the feather to pull out energy. So that's why I have this vulture feather for that work. They're so big and beautiful, and they're maybe my favorite animal. I love vultures. They're very mild. They never kill anything, right? But the challenge of vulture is that they completely rely on other animals to feed them. And that can be an interesting energy to work with, because we're kind of relying on others and and our reactions to them to teach us what we need. And that can be really towery with that energy, because we're kind of blowing stuff up. As I said, it gets big. So we'll be journeying with Vulture this month, and that'll be awesome. And the allies this month, my daughter just bonked herself. Our allies this month in terms of crystals are, the first one I pulled, of course. I was not surprised by this, is black tourmaline. So black tourmaline is super protective. So just remembering that we're going to watch our energy when we're working with tower energy and bringing things down. It's kind of like working with snake energy. You are incredibly vulnerable. So black tourmaline is a wonderful transmuter of energy. So is vulture. So you're working with two transmuters. So black tourmaline is a wonderful one to add to your altar this month. It transmutes energy. It changes the negative into a neutral energy. So some people say, oh, it makes bad energy feel good. It doesn't. It just makes it neutral. And it does this through piezoelectricity and all kinds of wonderful sciencey things that I could talk about, but I'm not going to. Just carry it, wear it, make grids of it, protect yourself, work with this energy. It's super powerful, and it's going to be a wonderful ally for you this month. The next stone that we're working with is Tiger Eye, and this is a great stone to work with on the solar plexus. It is a stone of perseverance. It's very strong. It's for strength, grounding, and power, like dealing with your own issues around power and feeling powerful in your own energy and your own skin, and kind of appreciating all of that. So Tiger's Eye. And then our last stone, which is kind of exciting, is lepidolite. She uses it for decisiveness, so that's going to help you with this Libra energy. So I have two different kinds of lepidolite here. I love lepidolite. It's a go-to. I use it in nearly every healing session on the third eye. It's wonderful for relaxation. So this is why I use it, and I think it's a great ally for this month. Is lepidolite's going to be wonderful with just taking that self-care time to really wind down, appreciate yourself and what's going on, and just go deep. Okay, so lepidolite's wonderful for headaches, for stress. So this is like a mica lepidolite, and you can see it's kind of layered, it has stratas. Whereas this is just more of a traditional lepidolite. It has mica in it. It's just not, layered like mica is normally layered, right? So, or this one's layered. This one isn't. Okay, so you got mica flex in this. Pretty easy to find. It has a high lithium content. High lithium content stones are great for anxiety, depression, headaches, stress. So if you have adrenal fatigue, working with lepidolite is going to be wonderful for that too. And actually both the Tiger Eye and the lepidolite work really well together for that energy. So adrenal fatigue, it's a thing. Okay, so working with it. All right. And then our plant ally this month is blackberry. And I brought some blackberries. I love blackberries. This is real, very, very bear energy, right? Blackberries, I think they actually, their Latin name is bear because they're a favorite food of bear. And we're in the West, and bear is kind of the ally, the guardian of the West. So you can use them for eating. You can use blackberry tea. You're using the leaves of the blackberry plant. Now, generally when you harvest blackberry for tea, you're going to want to do that like earlier in the year, maybe late spring, early summer, because by the time like the fall rains come, you're getting like more of that like mold and fungus on there. So if you're going to use blackberry tea, I wouldn't harvest it now. I would go get some, but they're wonderful. It is a wonderful ally for adaptation because blackberry grows everywhere, and it can kind of be in rocky soil, it can be in wonderful soil. It's also great for those omnivores, for people who can adapt to different situations, like bear. Bear is wonderful at, it will eat berries when it is near berries, and it'll eat salmon, and it'll eat whatever is near. It works for everything, and it needs a little bit of everything. So blackberry is a great ally. And then blackberry tea is wonderful too. So, okay, so blackberry tea, sorry about that. I had a little hiccup. So blackberry tea is wonderful for pregnancy, for mothering and nursing, for hormonal imbalances, really good for GI stuff, intestinal stuff. So it's great for like an after dinner tea, and digestion. I'm trying to think what else. I feel like I have a brain. But yeah, you can use it similarly to raspberry too. But I love that we're working with blackberry right now. And so this is your October reading. I'm so grateful that you've been watching. Please comment below if you have any questions or you want to go any deeper with anything. And happy October. Good luck with all this tower energy. I'd love to hear how it's playing out in your life. And so share below. Okay, bye.